So at West London VR, we thought we'd take a first look at the new Indie Velo. This is June 2023, if you're watching it at some other point in the past. And you can see it's got a Zwift feel about the graphics, and there's no real surprise. This really has got a lot in common with Zwift, and it makes it an easy switch if you are used to Zwift to come over to this. Obviously, you have to put into context, this is literally days since it's been released as a beta testing platform, and it hasn't got all the bells and whistles that Zwift has. It prides itself on some other features. It is less easy to cheat on this in races, and it has a lot of things and safeguards built into it, and more to come, I suspect, that will make the racing a little bit more realistic than Zwift. And that's its first aim at a USP. Obviously, as I say, it's designed so it's an easy switch over from Zwift. It doesn't have steering, at least not yet, and therefore if you're coming over from RGT or Cade or something like that where they've got steering, this is going to be a little bit kind of straight line-ish. Now you see there that it automatically takes me round those other riders as I go up this hill, so obviously it's got sort of those sort of features, but you'd have a choice at how you did that on the steering apps. So no steering, but the majority of people won't be used to steering anyway, and it's a relatively new concept, so that is not really going to inhibit it right now, this moment, because the majority of the people it will be aiming will be Zwift racers who want a better racing experience. And I think it probably has already beaten Zwift or overtaken Zwift permanently or temporarily. We shall wait and see, but it's where it's aimed to score with the racers, it's probably scored those points well. So it should be a good racing platform. Now, as you saw at the beginning when we zoomed into these courses, it's like Zwift, it's based on an island, it doesn't call itself anything as far as I'm aware, so it hasn't got the Watopia name. Interesting there that it steers me through the gaps in the riders. I was quite interested in this, as I say, coming from steering platforms, I was quite interested in that. It takes you naturally around them, and if you notice in the videos you will see their riders coming the other way, so like Zwift, their riders going in both directions rather than a kind of one directional format. The graphics are really good. It's so smooth, there's no clunkiness about getting into this. Just took to it like a duck to water, and I haven't been on Zwift for years, and it just worked, and I think if you have been on Zwift, it's going to be just a natural place to go. So I think it's got a lot going for it in those senses, and it is early days. Now you can see here I've got the little arrows there that you get on Zwift, and this is another thing I like about it. The various courses that you can choose, they are joined up, and you get these little options. Use the arrow keys on your screen, and you choose which one, and I've chosen to go right here, so we go off this course. I think we're going off the course anyway, but we're choosing at the junctions. And I think this is great because for the casual rider, you're not stuck in one little loop, and I know that some platforms you will get that, you'll choose a loop and you'll come to the end of it, or you'll just go round and round it, whereas with this, like Zwift, you can flick out onto other courses. Now at one point we decided this in the middle of the island, I say the middle of the island, but inland anyway. This velodrome, it's flat, no banking on the edges. I don't know about this because without steering, and out the banking, it's just a circular track to me. You can't choose your line. It obviously takes me round the rider here, and what I found interesting next was there was one coming up where it sort of, this guy goes out and I stay on the inside of him. Now he's actually turning off on that junction. You can get off the jet velodrome there. But there was one instance where I had to pull out quite a long way to get round a rider, and I was intrigued to know why it didn't take me on the inside of that rider, give me the option. Here we go. You can see that rider, I could go on the inside of that rider, but maybe not, maybe because it's that rider cutting across. Perhaps that's the reason that I couldn't go on the inside, because they were already heading in that direction. So you can't pick that, but that's, as I say, for 90% of riders, that will be no problem at all, because if you're coming from Zwift, you're not used to steering anyway. So pleasant enough. As I say, I don't know that I could go round and round the velodrome forever. So I did elect to come off the velodrome at the next junction. You can see the exit sign there to the right. So I chose that, just using the arrow keys and then pressing the mouse and clicking the mouse, and then off we go. So the next objective was to get down to the coastline. Now, most of this island hasn't got many buildings on it from what I've seen. It's fairly sort of standard scenery, as you can see from those trees. although obviously you get a beach as we take the beach road here, and you can see the coastline coming up. Great graphics, but like I say, not a lot of buildings and things at the moment. I suspect that's all on the way. It's not the first thing you think of. You get the tarmac down and then the nice little trimmings come later. So I suspect there's a lot to come with Indy Velo. It's, as I say, fresh off the shelf. This is the beta version anyway. And the functionality is brilliant, and I would take functionality as the first target and hurdle to get over for them, and they've done it superbly, absolutely superb. Works like a dream, like I say, just so intuitive to use that I think they've done exceptionally well on making sure that it works from the get-go. All the little trimmings, the bells and whistles, the scenery can come later. The graphics are actually quite good, including this shower. Now, I deliberately sort of kind of left this to last, the down point. You can see it's quite sunny in all the other scenes. I don't know why it chose to be rainy here, and I'm not sure if it always rains when you go through this part, because I'm relatively new to it and I haven't tried it several times. You can see some quite thick rain coming down there, sleet even, and the clouds in the background. So it is varied, and there's lots of little things like that are already in there. They're not necessary, but they add to the experience, and I suspect there's a hell of a lot more to come. So we're not going to sort of sit there and say, well, there's more scenery on Zwift or whatever at the moment, because I think they've got the functionality superb, and the bits they've got right so far, absolutely brilliant. I haven't found anything wrong with it. As I say, I'm assuming it's going to develop into something bigger, better, shinier, and whatnot. The other thing, you see the other riders on here. Some of these are bots, but it's very, very hard to tell which are bots and which are not. And that, again, I think was very, very clever. I was intrigued here to see whether I'd get boxed in, and then this, again, comes from my mentality from riding on platforms like RGT and Cade, where you can steer. But look at the way it just finds me that little gap and sort of sneaks through to get in front of those riders. So like I say, I think it's all positives on this. I mean, it'd be very easy to say that it hasn't got this and it hasn't got that, but it hasn't got them yet. I think there's a long way to go with Indy Velo. It's in beta testing and it's free to try now. Give it a go. Recommended.